I think we have time for this last question here. You don't have to turn to it because, well, we got about 5 minutes. Here's the question. And go ahead and turn to 1 Corinthians 4. That'll be where we look. Here's the question. Fundamentalists attack Roman Catholics because they call priest father, which is obviously wrong. On the basis of Matthew 23:9, the Lord said, "Call no man father upon the earth." However, Paul referred to himself as father of the Corinthians because he begot them through the gospel. How do you reconcile that? In other words, Jesus said, "Don't call any man father," but then Paul said, "I've begotten you through the gospel." So, how do you reconcile that? And the way you reconcile that is there's a difference between a religious title used to lord over people and a spiritual principle. Okay? 1 Corinthians 4, verse 15. "For though you have 10,000 instructors in Christ, yet you have not many fathers. For in Christ Jesus I have begotten you through the gospel." Now, he also told the Corinthians in 2 Corinthians 1, not that we have dominion over your faith. He said, by faith you stand. He said, we're just helpers of your joy. Now, Paul said, you're like my sons. I gave you the gospel. You got saved. God used my ministry to get you saved. So in a spiritual sense, in a figurative sense, it's like you're my sons and you need to listen to me. I'm trying to help you. And yet, Paul did not have dominion over anybody's faith. He did not say, I'm your father, that you must follow my, as a religious hierarchy type thing. Okay? You see this language from Paul in more than one passage. Another verse would be actually in Philemon verse 10 where he said, I beseech thee for my son Onesimus, whom I have begotten in my bonds. But you know what? Paul not only said he was like a father, he even said he was like a mother. You know, he told the Galatians, Galatians 4:19, my little children, of whom I travail in birth again until Christ be formed in you. He said, my little children, I've travailed in birth. He said, I travailed to work to get you the gospel. And now I'm travailing in work to get you grounded in the faith. So that's like a mother. Well, obviously he means in a spiritual principle. Now when a person gets saved, they become a child of God. But if you're the one instrumental in bringing them to Christ, in a spiritual sense, didn't Paul say that Timothy and Titus were his sons in the faith? So that's spiritual. He's talking about in the faith. So, look, Jesus meant something very specific in Matthew 23. He's talking about religious people abusing their authority. He didn't say you could never use the term father because then we couldn't even call our own earthly dad father, but we do. That's a total different context. Okay? And so, I think you get the point there on that. Paul's not saying that he saved anybody, but he's saying he was instrumental to bring them to Christ. So in that sense, he's like spiritually speaking, like a father to them. But he didn't have dominion over their faith, and he wasn't trying to lord over them. Okay? Anybody got anything you want to add or?